Believe it or not, they are covertly editing my voice in various ways, and I'm being fumed every day. This video is called The Purge. I'm 100% against it. If I wasn't being covertly poisoned, I'd probably scream my head off about this. Screaming and crying. Because this is fucking serious. The Purge, folks. Believe it or not, the word purge is a play on words for rape G. Okay, we'll get to that. You're going to see that I'm right. You're going to see that I'm right. Bear with me. You're going to know that I'm right beyond any doubt. That if this wordplay wasn't on a fluke, if the wordplay wasn't correct, then it may as well be correct because the idea is there. The wordplay for purge, R-U-P-E, becomes R-A-P-E with G. G is Gaia, the Greco-Roman earth deity. Okay, it's known as G is Ki, also in the Middle East. Okay, Mesopotamian area. And the G is also a G in Freemasonry. And there's all kinds of other G ideas out there. Okay, so purge, the earth deity, right? The kind of liberal crowd. There's conservatives who are racist, white, kind of Nazi eugenicists. And there's liberal, progressive eugenicists. And they believe in white supremacy when you combine their two philosophies together to make the corporate middle ground. And they believe in preserving the planet by killing people. However, they do not believe in actually loving and nourishing the planet because they do all kinds of horrible things to the planet historically as part of their madness. But this is what they believe. And a lot of you know I'm right away, but those of you who don't, pay it close attention. I assure you I'm right. Point number 1. 5 homeless people die a day in Los Angeles. Truly, I tell you, for somewhere around $18 billion, we could build 600,000 plus tiny houses that would wipe out homelessness, okay, with running water, AC, land purchases, cameras, street lights, parking lots, you name it. This especially because it's cheaper to build in other states. But they're not doing that. They sent more than that to Ukraine, but they won't do that. Before the Ukrainian war, they could have done that before there was this many homeless people. They're not doing that. It's easier to manage the society when the homeless has houses. It's easier to deal with things like, cleanups, because there's no homeless encampments to clean up. There's just maintaining homeless houses, and on and on. I can go on and on. We house inmates, we give them food and shelter and medical care, and on and on and on. But why not the homeless? Because they're purging. Because these are frat ninnies. These are cowards. These are horrible people that believe in purging people and saying, well, get a job. Well, yeah, that's what happens when you don't do it our way. These are, write this phrase down. This is the type of bitch they are. They are, that's what happens. They are, quote unquote, that's what happens when you don't do it our way type of bitch. That's almost exactly what it's about. But it's also about getting people to grovel to them for sexual control. So they say things like, they'll send you back, to the gutter where they found you, to some chick that they've exploited from every race you can imagine. 5 homeless people die a day in Los Angeles. Okay? When we could easily solve this problem. Easily. Tiny homes, small towns, solved as fast as we can build it. You recruit the immigrants, the illegal immigrants to build things and so on and so forth. We could have hundreds of thousands of people building these tiny homes and get it done in no time flat all across America. But they're not doing that. Bring in the National Guard, the military, you name it. Show them how to lay bricks, whatever they can do, whatever they can learn easily. But they're not doing that. Point number 2, the NIMBY movement. The NIMBY movement. It stands for Not in My Backyard. The zoning games and the environmental excuses. Yes, sometimes environmental issues are real and they come up. But these people take that and run with it to maintain their eugenic purge because they are bitches. Point number 3, frats. In the movie The Purge, you had frat-like people harassing people. It was an iconic purge image. You have one of them, it writes God. It's like a cultist. It's frats. Okay. There's rich, angry corporate people. There's spoiled brats who don't like it when the freeway's clogged and they think that they should kill everybody who's not like them. We're talking sniveling worms and they're itching to do it. And they get dick hard when people die. When they see on the news that them and their little secret societies and their social engineering cause people to die, they start giggling like sissy punks. Point number 4. What's the difference between serving God and being morally precise to the best of your ability versus submission to the pack? But why is it so popular? Because the governing class insists, no matter how crazy their policies are, that you submit to the pack and the existing social orders. Point number 5. In a nutshell, a Satanist is anyone who rejects my leadership because I'm morally precise. Some of you say, you lost me there. But if you really think about it, and I'll prove that real quickly. I'll prove that after I do this last point, okay? When you really think about it, you'll see that I'm right. Bear with me. I'm not exploiting this issue. Bear with me. A Satanist is also someone who doesn't scramble to solve the problem. The neutral, is someone whose actions suggest that it is okay to do nothing to solve the problem. So like a troll for the dark side, causing pain and problems. And often they troll in the comments. They are misleaders that lead people away from the solution. It is better to be persecuted and screened out for scrambling to be morally precise, thus negating one's degree of complicity, than to do nothing. Listen carefully. It is far better to be persecuted and screened out for scrambling to be morally precise, which means you're getting rid of your degree of complicity, than to do nothing. Okay? If you're truly scrambling to be morally precise. Well, let's look at it. People fall into 3 categories. 1, idiots in power. 2, idiots that voted for them. 3, idiots who think that they because they didn't vote for them, that they are not idiots. So again, the first category, idiots in power. Second category, idiots that voted for them. Third category, idiots who think that because they did not vote for idiots, that they are not idiots, but they are. Now, why am I the obvious leader? When we look at the rest of the world, it falls into these 3 categories. If you're offended, be offended, but accept correction and instruction and change. 5 quick points about why I'm the obvious leader. Number 1, everyone else is lost in nonsense, especially compared to me. What are they doing? They're a jock. Nonsense. Okay? They're a gangster with no higher cause. Nonsense might be cool. Might seem appealing to hang out with them, but it's still nonsense. Okay? Corrupt politician, nonsense. Rock and roll. You built the seat on sex, drugs, and rock and roll instead of moral precision. Nonsense. Square, nonsense. You're just a bootlicker to the governing class. You're a square. Okay, what about you makes you a hero? You're not a hero in reality. You're a square. Nonsense. We can go through this. Emos, goths, all on some nonsense. Hippies, removed from the situation, high and talking nonsense. 2, therefore, if one is not in denial, they rally to me. If you're not living a psychological trance or something, if you weren't born yesterday, okay, if you're not a fucking idiot, you would rally to me. If you don't know who I am, then you're lost in nonsense. Going back to point number 1. Point number 3. If they are in denial, their brain doesn't function properly. Think about how one feels when they try not to think of something. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about that. Right? What happens? You're not thinking effectively because your brain is consciously using resources to not think about something. And when it's in the repetition of not thinking about something, the brain wiring changes to be less effective. If you think about it, you don't need any studies to prove that. It's just obvious as it can be. Take it from a brain surgeon's son. Point number 4. If their brain functions properly, then they rally to me. Okay? If their brain functions properly, then they rally to me. So, well, how's that different from point number 2? If they're not in denial, they rally to me because I've kind of broke down the specifics more. If their brain functions properly, they're not in a state of denial, and they know there's only one thing to do, that's to rally around the solution. The soul you shun. The soul leader. Alpha, 1. A equals 1, the first letter. Alpha. The soul leader, the soul that you shun, the solution. It's right there in the wordplay. Point number 5. When people look at a world and they are being honest, they would not argue that anyone else is a valid or holy or moral leader of all mankind. When you see my videos enough, you see that I'm right. Now consider the wordplay. In a parent, alpha parent, app parent. Emergency, emerge and see. What are you people doing? You're not doing anything or you're controlled opposition. Urgency, your gene C. Proof, pro of. I'm the top martial artist, right? The pro of martial arts are lifestyles, life paths. I have the top life path, lifestyle. I am the top martial artist. I know where to go. The word point is in top scrambled. I point the way. Like the Bible said, the Son of God and God guides you in the way you should go. Profound. obvious. OB meaning King Hard Hut Essence Center Temple Core. Kuro OB black belt. And Ibo, which is OB backwards, is King Hard Hut Essence Center Core. And Kuro OB in Japanese and the Eastern martial arts and in Jiu-Jitsu means black belt. Obi Vi as alpha. The word obvious is a play on words, is Obi Vi as alpha. And to pedophiles from the governing class line, inbred pedophiles, one of these governing class bloodlines, they're arguing that he must vie as us. Okay? If he's a fucking Satanist, yes. But if he's the actual alpha for God, God's chosen, then he vies as the natural alpha. Okay? So, if you don't understand why I'm the obvious leader, okay. We can break it down in the comments, but at least understand there's a fucking purge going on, and you need to rally and insist on tiny homes and affordable new taxes and a new group to oversee it and a website to track every penny and signs on the building sites, the tiny home villages to show how much it costs, and comparing these things to private purchases and getting tons and tons of citizens involved instead of leaving it to the government. You need to rally for that, or else it's obvious you have not even the beginning of a viable counter-argument that you're purging. You're still purging if you do that and you don't rally to me, but at least you're not purging to such an obvious and despicable degree. Thank you.